What's going on, Guardians? I'm Beyond Light Guardian, and in today's video we'll be going over the TWAB, formerly known as This Week at Bungie, for 11/12/20, along with looking at the Hotfix 3.0.0.2 and a new seasonal stuff announced for the Season of the Hunt in Destiny 2. So to start off, we're going to be going over the TWAB for 11/12/20 by Cosmo, and basically they're just going over the different Season of the Hunt stuff, the different roadmaps that we'll be coming across. They have a season page that we'll be looking at later on in this video. They did drop a trailer, which I'm not necessarily a trailer watcher, but I did hear pretty good things about it, so I advise you guys to go check it out. The artwork and everything like that is pretty cool. But as we know, Beyond Light dropped on 11/10 and it was met with mixed reviews. A lot of people had different server issues and different things of that nature, and so really we know that 11/17 will be the time when Bungie really gets on track with getting this season and getting this expansion out of the way. But Bungie has it here. The Season of the Hunt live now, but it really gets going next week when the season mission kicks off and Wrath Hunts begins. Prepare to stop Xivu or Wraith from attempting to seize power with the help a familiar ally. Okay, somebody screwed up there. Until then, don't forget to grab the new seasonal artifact. Just try not to mess up Zavala's office while you're in there. And there's a cool little ramp way that goes down to Zavala's office. If you haven't seen it, we'll make a video on it just to show you how to get your artifacts so you can get that level up and be ready for whenever the raid drops. So some of the things that Bungie has announced is obviously the new stasis, which came with the Beyond Light campaign or the new Beyond Light expansion. And in order to get the stasis, you have to complete the campaign, which is only about 3 hours, so it's not that long. You'll be able to get the stasis, and then there's different artifacts and things of that nature that you can do or different quests and everything like that that you can do to get the new artifacts for that and whatnot. So basically some of the things for the new people that haven't used stasis before, it's pretty simple. It slows you down, so it just reduces your movement and ability if you're hit by it in PvP, or if you use it on non-major enemies per se, or non-boss enemies rather. It'll kind of slow them down, freeze them up a little bit. It'll reduce the jumping speed, the movement speed. Pretty much this whole section right here has Reddit in a frenzy when it comes down to PvP. And like I said, I'll leave this article in the description so you can check it out. So the basis of stasis is it's ice. You're able to freeze people. You're able to freeze enemies. Just really cool supers overall, really cool subclasses, with the Warlock subclass being the absolute best in my opinion. I'm a Hunter main, so it sucks for me. But this whole little section here is what has Reddit in a frenzy, especially when it comes down to PvP. And we'll get into a little bit later on exactly how Bungie is kind of feeling about that. But basically the general premise is that you can freeze people. You have a melee freeze ability, and you also have a grenade freeze ability along with your super. So freeze can be shattered by damage. Shattering a freeze causes to do AoE damage, so area of effect damage, to frozen targets and all other nearby targets, including other frozen targets. Freeze lasts for some duration before crumbling off. Unlike shattering, a freeze that crumbles does not do any damage to the frozen enemy or nearby enemies against combatants. Freeze will lock all non-boss combatants in place for the duration of the effect. Bosses will automatically share out after some duration. So basically there's the freeze ability, or if I get it right, somebody can correct me. Basically you have the melee ability, so the melee ability doesn't do any, if you shatter that, it doesn't do any damage to the enemies. So basically the way that I understand it is the melee ability per se, you kind of throw out like almost like a throwing knife or a throwing hammer, and so you get 2 of those at least for Hunter, and so you're able to throw those. Those do not cause damage to other enemies nearby when you shatter it, or if you go and shoot it or melee them. It's only the grenade that when you throw them at them, which kind of does this spike up frozen ice thing or whatever the case may be, when you shoot at that, it'll do area effect damage also to other people around it if they're pretty close to it. Once again, this is what has Reddit in a frenzy, and I do mean a frenzy. It's pretty hilarious. Personally, I haven't dealt with it too much, but then again, I know how to stay away from PvP and just play my fair share of PvP in order to enjoy it long enough so that I don't, lose my mind inside of there. PvP in itself is already a challenge, playing hours on end in there. So one of the things that people have been complaining about is that the amount of duration and the duration and the class ability, so the button that you use to break out of the ice is one of the things. So you pretty much have it where you're frozen to place, and only the way to break out is to use your class ability. So I'm assuming people are either spamming it too much to the point to where, you know, they're using their class ability as soon as they get out of there. But another thing about the freezing is that a lot of people don't like is that you gain damage, or you lose health rather, when you break out of the ice. So you're losing health and you're pretty much one shot. So if you do manage to break out of it, there's pretty much virtually no chance of you surviving. Even with a very bad player, there's no chance of you surviving when it comes down to PvP, and that's a ruined experience for a lot of people. And then you got the supers. That's one of the different things. So the Roman supers, so your golden guns, your throwing hammers and different things like that. And then your one-off supers, so I'm assuming the Thunder Crash, Nova Bomb, things of that nature. There are different effects, so locking players into place until they're broken out, which they break out of it pretty quickly. And then you have the one-off supers, pretty much it's almost like a tether here. So once again, it has gotten people into a frenzy. And like I said, Bungie has shared some things that I believe they say just what the stasis is geared towards, or how you can combat it, because like I said, a lot of people have been complaining about it. So one of the things I did notice when it came down to this, and one of the things a lot of people have been talking about, is not taking any damage and the duration. So one of the things I did kind of catch in this TWAB is that Bungie talked about the class ability replacing the breakout ability. So, or the breakout ability replacing the class ability. So that's when you're stuck in the ice, you'll spam, you know, your class, whatever your class ability, your dodge, your shield, or your barricade, or your rift button. You'll spam that button in order to get out of the ice, and then you'll have a little bit of health left. So in order to combat, Bungie is saying the damage this breakout does can be reduced by the resilience stat. The more resilience, the less damage you take. So I'm going to be looking to test that, just going from 0 resilience, or I guess 10 resilience, all the way up to 100 resilience, just to see exactly how much damage is being taken off, and if it's really a good viable option for people to use. We know that resilience doesn't do really much at all when it comes down to PvP, and definitely doesn't seem like it does anything in PvE. So we want to see if resilience is definitely going to play a major factor in this season, which it hasn't done anything throughout the lifespan of this game. And then we have some pretty cool wallpaper that Bungie has released. I don't know whoever the creative team in terms of designing these things, designing the game, the actual aesthetics of the game, the visuals, but this game looks amazing. It's visually pleasing, especially if you're on PC and you got all those extra frame rates. So definitely get over here. I'll leave the link in the description to this TWAB so you can download all these cool wallpapers. But some of the things that Bungie has been going over is just the stability and server issues. So Bungie did have the live event on November 9th, which was that Monday. And I think it was later on in that day I was able to get to the live event, but a lot of people got disconnected. We're sitting in a queue, for 30 minutes, just to get to about 200 or 500 people, and then to get kicked back out and got to rejoin again for the live event. So it wasn't something that a lot of people enjoyed, especially on launch day when it did the same thing for the game. So they addressed those things, and I haven't personally came across these errors, but I think mine was Newt or something like that I came across for a little bit. But as people start to get away from the game, because of that's what people do, they go for the hype, and then they eventually just won't pick it up for another couple of months. So another thing that Bungie talked about was the licenses and season passes. So I didn't really understand this one all that much, at least as much as I guess I should have. It says many players reported to us that they purchased Beyond Light but don't have the season pass and can't access the campaign after the first mission. Season passes aren't included in the standard edition of Beyond Light, so players who purchase this edition will have to purchase the season pass in the game. Additionally, season passes can't be shared between accounts. For those sharing the expansion on console, the main console has to download Beyond Light before the second console can access that content. So it seems, which we already know just the way Bungie's model has been, is that mainly you can buy the expansion, but you really need to buy this season pass because that's where all the actual other content is, which it sucks that it's that way because you're paying an extra 10, 12, whatever it is, dollars for that extra content when you've already paid all this money for a season for an expansion that was already deemed overpriced. So I'm hoping it's not that, okay, well, people that don't have the season pass can't access the game that they paid for, and that's not the case, is that you have to have the season pass to access that. I don't believe it's that way, but just the way that it reads and just the rest of this TWAB kind of reads, Bungie doesn't label it out in 3 categories. So for instance, you have the season pass holders, you have the free to play players, and then you have the people that just have the base game. So they kind of just put them in 2 categories: season pass owners or free to play people. So we'll just have to look more into it and just wait to hear from Bungie on these different issues. And then they just give you different platform specific support options for your different platforms. I'm on PC, but like I said, I'll leave this TWAB in the description so you can just take a look at this and see exactly how, if you are running into these issues, how you can get those things resolved. So one of the things I did think was pretty hilarious, that a lot of people were using the Rose, which is a pretty valuable hand cannon, but it definitely isn't the best. And especially when you're talking about that now all 150s have been moved to 140s. But it's a reason because it was still the only 150 RPM hand cannon. I'm pretty sure that it also had a damage bug to it also that was just leading for people to, two-headshot people. So they disabled that. You weren't able to click on it to equip it, which is the same thing that's going on with the Witherhoard. The Witherhoard had a damage bug, so now you can't equip it, which sucks because Witherhoard is one of my favorite exotics to use. And I was just pretty lost on when I was constantly clicking on this weapon and could not use it for the life of me. So we haven't gotten any word on whenever that will be back able to be used, but we do know that the Rose is now able to be used. They did fix it, and we'll look at that coming up in the hotfix. We also looked at, they said that they noticed that the legendary drop rates were changed in the EDZ Widow's Walk Lost Sector, which was corrected on Wednesday. And we do know that Bungie nerfed the powerful drops, or rather the drops to get you to the soft cap to 1200. They nerfed that in a heartbeat because a lot of people were going to the Trossland to farm basically that lost sector, which is a pretty fast lost sector to farm in order to get to the soft cap, and Bungie nipped that in the bud pretty quickly. So moving on, just different things about NVIDIA. People that are on PC, this doesn't have anything to do with me, so I don't bother. The PC migration and Battle.net ending soon. So basically, we know that Bungie moved from Battle.net, and this has been a while now. So for anybody to still be left on Battle.net or haven't switched their stuff over, I'm not sure what you're doing. It's pretty seamless, pretty easy to do, doesn't take long at all to do. So that's going to be ending on December 1st, 2020. So get that taken care of right away. We're less than a month out. There should be no reason for you to lose out on your stuff just strictly because of this. I mean, it's just as simple as you can. It's as simple as you can get. So just some other known issues that Bungie has right now that they have been addressing, and I'll let you just read through those things. I won't go through all those things for different console platforms and things like that. I haven't personally come across any of these besides the cutscene and the severe stutter, and I'm glad because I have a pretty good PC, and I surely thought it was my PC dying on me for whatever reason. So they're looking to fix these things. Hopefully we can get a speedy fix. We did have a hot fix, and we'll go through that to see what of these issues were fixed. But as I mentioned, there's been a lot of bugs going on. A lot of people haven't been too happy about it. So I won't give my opinion on the game yet until I can see exactly if the expansion is worth the money without the season pass, of course, and just see, how Bungie is going to handle all these things as we move into year 4 or in year 4 of this game. So moving over to the hotfix 3.0.0.2. So we have the general things, the server stability. We resolved an issue where Destiny 2 could crash when players interacted with the vault and the tower on Xbox consoles. I don't have an Xbox, I play on PC, so that doesn't apply to me. Implementing backend changes to improve Destiny 2 server stability, just basic, online service network issues. Obviously, they said here where they adjusted the fire rate of the Rose to 140 so that now you are able to equip this. The heir apparent was removed from the monument to lost lights. I personally don't know why, but if I know Bungie, then it's probably because of damage issues or whatever the case may be, and so they'll fix it and put it back in the game, hopefully. They resolved an issue where collector's edition emblems were not being granted or appearing in collections properly. I think I heard about that also, so that's good. Like I said, they don't have Wither Horde on here. I know that I saw it somewhere, but I can't remember where. But clearly, if you try to go and equip your Wither Horde, you'll see that you aren't able to equip it because of the damage bug that was going on in PvP and PvE, where you could shoot someone and it not be a direct hit, and it would still do lingering damage. So if they just happen to walk over into the pool and leave out of it, they would still be taking that damage. So they'll be fixing that soon, and then hopefully releasing that, because the Wither Horde is one of my favorite weapons. Moving on to the Season of the Hunt. So we're going to just take a look at the map, because basically that's what is going to be in the season page here. And I'll just click out of it just so you can see. It's pretty nice, all set up with just a different gear and things that they have coming, the seasonal awards. Really nice page, really well done in terms of that aspect. But we're going to look at the map. We're going to look at the calendar here of the things that come. As I mentioned, really the game released on the 10th, but the game really starts on the 17th, and it'll go all the way up and through February. We have the raid dropping, which I'm pretty excited about it. I didn't play any of the raids at all compared to when I played Destiny 1. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to this raid here. I'm going to try to find a team to be able to do the raid with. That'll drop on the 21st. Iron Banner I'm excited about, that drops on the 8th. The Dawning, which will be from pretty much the Christmas holiday time, from the 15th all the way up into the new year, and just different things here. And so you have just the things that are available to the free-to-play players. So the Iron Banners and the different strikes and weapons and things like that, which isn't many. And then you have the Beyond, what people pay for, and the Beyond Light. So I'm definitely hoping Bungie adds a lot in this season, because right now it's pretty bare bone dry for a very new expansion that just released. But overall, like I said, I'm having fun in the game. I just kind of, if I feel that I'm drained or just feeling bored or whatever the case may be, I kind of just turn the game off and just come back to it at a later point in time, so that I don't get burned out pretty easily on it, which is very common when playing Destiny. But just finding different things to do. Sucks that the content has become leveling, but hopefully Bungie will add in some things here. We also know that Trials of Osiris, here's what's canceled, and for obvious reasons, because there's a bunch of bugs going on, bunch of super glitches and things like that going on that wasn't mentioned in this TWAB or hotfix. So that is a saving grace for the people that do play Trials. I don't play Trials, would never play Trials, but that's a saving grace for people that play Trials. So that'll be coming back on the 27th, which should be going into next week's TWAB, and we'll be back then to go over that and hopefully get some more updates on these different things here. But I've been the Beyond Light Guardian, and I'll catch up with you guys next time.